My name is Carina Gardner, and I'm what you would call a practical designer. If you're ready to create a life that you love, become an incredible force for good, and generate income while pursuing your dreams, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Make and Design.
This is a little bit different of an episode. So this is typically an episode I would do on the Design Your Life podcast, but I'm going to let you guys here on the Make and Design podcast listen to it right here. And we're going to make this a bonus episode for the Design Your Life podcast. If you're wondering what the Design Your Life podcast is, it's a much more intimate look at design, the way I see design, and the things that I'm seeing in the industry and in business. And so it's just a much closer feel to some of the things that are going on with me, what I'm seeing happening in the design world. And I really do like to drop lots of great advice about design. That's a much more a practical way of looking at design. And I was going to do this episode for Design Your Life. And, I just thought, I am going to do this for Make and Design as well. All the way to the point that there's even going to be at the end of this, so when I end, keep listening, a Coaches Unfiltered segment. So on the Design Your Life episodes, I do my episode, and then two of my coaches from the Design Suite team will come on, and then they do something called Coaches Unfiltered, where they talk about the episode and some of the things that they learned from it and things that it reminded them of. So you are getting kind of a sampling here of what would happen on the Design Your Life episode. If you want to find out more, if you go to designsuitecourses.com/design events, there is a link there if you are interested in learning more about how you can listen to that exclusive podcast, and you can find out more about it there. All right, on with the episode. So the reason I wanted to do this episode is because yesterday was a really bad day. And when I say it was a really bad day, I mean it was traumatic in that I just couldn't seem to get anything right. Things that should have happened didn't happen, and there were a lot of balls up in the air. And this was coming off of a weekend where I was out of town and having a great time, but also it was a very busy, very tiring weekend, and I also got a little bit sick from the weekend. So there were a lot of things at play here to exasperate this very bad day. But let me tell you a little bit about it, because I think all of us have had one of these days. The first thing is I was having trouble getting one of my kids off to school in the morning. And this kid in particular has been trouble in terms of getting her off to school. And so I was pretty frustrated with that. The second thing that happened was as I woke up in the morning, I had planned my whole week. I'm really good at planning and making sure that we're on top of the week. But almost everything had changed during the week. New meetings had been put in place. We started to realize that certain aspects of the business hadn't, gotten through. And in particular, I will tell you, the design shops, we had like 5 new YouTube videos that related to designs, SVG designs that hadn't made it into any of the stores yet. And we have multiple platforms. And we say I have multiple platforms. So we had to devise the week before a new way of building our design process. Now, those of you who are doing this by yourself, you're designing by yourself, you don't have this problem yet, except for I really highly recommend you build yourself a process. So for me, the process is really simple. I create the design, so that's implementation, right? I have the idea for the design, I create the design. Then I do production work for the design. So that usually means we zip up the file, make sure it's ready to go, it has its terms of use and any instructions in it. I make a video for it. That's my choice for how I explain to customers how to use it. If it doesn't need instructions, I don't worry about it. It's just a flat file, no big deal. And I zip up the file, we make sure it's good, and then we make the preview. And the previews need pictures that usually need to be extracted, and then we go and sell the file. Well, the problem was that I'm so busy running our new university, the University of Arts and Design, and design suite that now I have multiple people's fingers in this process, because I used to do that whole process all by myself. And it's more complicated than that, because outside of our design videos that we put out and our design files we put out, we also now make mock-ups for every single one, so you can see multiple things, going on with those files if they are not something I've created or cut out. Also, it needs to go on at least 3 of my 8 platforms. So that's kind of our choice. We kind of concentrate on 3 of them. And then the other thing that's a little bit tricky is that we always do a blog post that correlates. And this is where kind of all the troubles begin, okay? Because the blog posts also are connected to Pinterest pieces. Now, if you're listening to this, you're like, Carina, I don't even do any of these things. Good, because I used to never do any of these things either, and it just didn't matter. When it was me, the story of one, it was very simple. I would on Monday and Tuesday, I'd make all the files. Maybe Wednesday and Thursday, I would do production on all the files, and then I would make the videos, put them up, and then I would go sell the files, right? No big deal. But now that there's so many fingers involved, it means that we have to figure out who's doing what. Anyway, one thing slid in the whole process, and because of that one thing, it meant that we had to go back and fix all the other things. And that one thing was that we had not put up these new files into the Carina Gardner store. And when we didn't do that, it meant that on YouTube, in Pinterest, and on the blog, there were no links for anyone to buy these files. And Monday morning, I woke up to that. We also woke up to some other things that were not going correctly. We were in the middle of summit season, and there were some things that were overlooked by teammates that ended up being a very, very big problem that we had to go in and fix immediately, but we kind of lost the time and money on. And so I was so frustrated because I had done the math on how much money had been lost in that day. If you're a business owner, you know how this is. You're running all the money, you're seeing where it's all going. And I knew how much money had been lost. And it used to be kind of the amount I would make just even a single month for design. That's how much money was lost in a single day. I saw the numbers and I was brokenhearted. And frustrated. So then I will tell you the other thing that happened was that I ended up having a list of about 6 extra things on my list for the day. I schedule my day out until about 4 p.m., sometimes 5 p.m. I started about 7. And I'm pretty much meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, or workload like writing coursework or taping coursework or whatever, designing, whatever it is, for all of those hours. So if other things end up on my list for that day, that means I'm doing them at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Now, you as a designer, if you are a new designer, you will not have this, okay? I just want you to know. This is only because I own 3 companies. When I was a designer, this didn't happen to me. I could very easily schedule out my day. I would start at the beginning of the day. I would make my design work, and then I was good, and the process was great, okay? So this was all just because of all the things happening in my current companies, because the university is so new, because Design Suite is up, running, and going at an awesome rate, but it's still very, very busy. And then, of course, my design businesses. So I felt very much, by the time 4:30 rolled around, I was almost frantic because nothing had gone right that day. Also, my executive assistant had missed her meeting, and I got a message from someone else on my team saying that she had a family emergency. We had 4 of the team members out that day. I do not know how that happened, because usually we don't have that many people out on a single day, but that meant that we had a very small group for our team meetings. And so that I knew we were missing a few things that needed to happen for the week. So anyway, just this feeling of overwhelm and everything on my shoulders. And, as a CEO, or, in your case, as a CEO of your design business, I think this actually happens a lot. You feel the weight of everything on your shoulders. There is no white knight that's going to come save you. It's just on your shoulders. And while I'm used to that feeling, it came down hard yesterday. I mean, I felt it it felt heavy. I felt like there was an anvil on my back and I was carrying it around. And I might have shed several tears throughout the day as I tried to figure things out. I'm feeling very frustrated with the people around me in my actual family life and frustrated with everybody else that was coming in contact. Because at that point in time, I was just like, I just need to be alone. You know, us introverts, we just need to be alone. So I did any reasonable, thing that a woman of my age would do. And that is bow out of my house at 5 or 5:30. Was it 5:30? And I went to the gym because I could just tell I was on the verge of a panic attack and my heart was hurting. And I just knew that the responsibilities were feeling very heavy. And some of you I know have felt this before. This is why I'm sharing with you. It's not because, feel sorry for Carina. I think this is a shared experience. Maybe your day was a number of other things. It might have been family or friends. It could have been something way worse than what happened to me that day. Because let's just face it, everyone was alive. We were all going to be fine. But it was coming down. And I'm sure part of it was because I was pretty tired as well. So I went to the gym. And the previous day when I was on an airplane, I'd gone into the airport. I was with my little sister, and we went into an airport shop that had books in it. And I looked in, and there was a book called Be Ready When the Luck Happens by Gardner. And I really like Gardner. I like her style. I liked her on Food Network when I used to watch the Food Network, especially when my kids were much younger. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to grab that and see how that is. And I read for an hour on the plane and really enjoyed it. So I went to work out and I took this book with me. And I got an hour into my workout and I was moving along so fast that I just decided I was going to stay on the treadmill until I finished the book. So 3 hours later, I was done working out. It was like almost 3 hours to a T. I walked on that treadmill and I read this book. And I finished it at one go, so the little bit on the airplane and this one go. So if you are considering reading this book from what I'm about to tell you about from this book, then feel free to go grab your hands on it. I found it very intriguing. And more than anything, I think I needed to hear and see what someone who has done some really amazing things, who really is very famous, has done some really phenomenal things with her life, some of the things that she went through, what was hard, what was good, and also some of the joys in there. Because the best thing to feed a weary heart is to see the success, in my opinion, of other people who've gone before. And I think this is one of the things that separates and why I love the Design Your Life podcast so much. And when you guys are here listening, because Design Suite members and university members all get it as part of your guys' program, is because I know and see what you guys are each doing. And I'm so proud of everything that you guys are doing. To see you guys working so hard to build your designs, to get smart about your SEO, to watch you making great decisions about the way your previews look and the way your collections come together, to see you getting distributors and finding the correct shops and working alongside us. And those of you in university, just even today when I was listening to you guys talk about how much you love the color theory class and how it's totally changed the way that you now look at color and the way you're working through it. And I just saw someone today who's 6 months ago, their collections not nearly as good as their collections today. It's watching that education, watching you guys make those kind of changes makes me so, so proud. So proud. And all of that to say that we're on this journey, we're on this path, and there are highs and there are lows. But I know you guys know that if we can look at the people ahead of us who are doing phenomenal things, we can remember that that could be us. Maybe not in that exact way, shape, or form, but that could be us. And for me, Ina's book really pulled back some of the things that I've really, really wanted in my life. In particular, she talks about her hard childhood. She talks about some of the difficulties, some of the reasons she didn't have children, her break with her husband Jeffrey, who she's been married to for a very, very long time. How she went from owning her stores to basically writing books and then doing the television show, and kind of all of the little crevices in between. And I just found it very fascinating. Also fascinating is the fact that she really had gumption right from the very beginning. So I had no idea, but she learned how to fly a plane when girls really weren't supposed to fly planes. She talks about some of the things that she was up against, like banks wouldn't allow her in the 70s to take out a loan and her money didn't count in case she was going to have children. And so some of the things that she was up against that we're not necessarily up against today, although, you guys know how I feel about this, because I do think there are still some glass ceilings in place that I feel like we as women are fighting against to try to make things more equal. Anyway, but way worse then. And she talks about some of the things that she had run into that were so very, very difficult. Anyway, one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I think it's always great to have goals in the future. You guys know I talk about morning routine and about writing your dreams when you're doing your planning. You guys know that you can watch the video on that if you're in Design Suite. If you're not in Design Suite, you guys know that you can go to the designsuitecourses.com/dailyplanner. You don't have to buy the planners there. Just watch the videos. I just want you to watch the videos so you learn how to plan correctly and plan in a way that your dreams are involved, because that's the most powerful planning of all. Why is dream planning so important? Dream planning is so important because dream planning inspires and creates a spark of hope. This is so important because when we have hope, that means we have more vision for our future. When we have more vision for our future, we're more likely to actively work on the things that we need to work on to make our lives wonderful. This is so important, especially on days like the day I had yesterday where everything felt bad. I didn't want to be part of that day anymore. I didn't want anything in that day to be happening to me anymore. And I wanted every single person in my life to just leave me alone, right? Which, sounds horrible, but it just is what it is, especially some of us who are maybe in the middle of perimenopause, right? We just want to be left alone for a hot second and try to process the bad things that are happening in our lives, okay? Which, once again, I'm going to tell you, no one died, so nothing horrible happened. It was just a relatively bad day for me. So, where am I going with all this? Where I'm going is that things are hard sometimes, but we can get back up. And if we can have that spark of hope in our lives, and I like dream planning for that, it takes us to the next level. So one of the things that this book reminded me of is she talks about buying an apartment in Paris. And when I first married Josh, I told him that I wanted to live half the year in Tuscany. And that reminded me of that. And I've thought of it a few times. In fact, there have been little things along the way where I have picked up a course on how to purchase real estate in Europe, or I've looked over there at things that are interesting to me. And it's very fascinating because listening to her talk about it, and she was much older when she did that, made me remember, Carina, you're still young. And those of you in any age range, I think you need to remind yourself, you are still young. There's still a lot of life in front of you. There's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years for some of us ahead of us. We're still young. There's still lots of time to do things. So much time to do things. And some of the crazy stuff that feels like, what? Why would I ever do that? And for you, it might not be a house in Tuscany or an apartment in Paris. It could be anything, right? Whatever the big thing is in your life, it gives you something to focus on and look in your future too. And this is what this did for me, because as I was reading it, I was like, I remember these things that I wanted. And do I have them yet? No. But there's something to look forward to. There are still things and interesting things to do with my life. And it kind of was a great perk up to the end of my day that I really needed. I'm sure it also helped to be on that treadmill for 3 hours. I was trying to work out my anxiety, if I'm being honest. Just work out all of that anxiety and make sure that I was coming home in a place where at least I could go to bed. And like Anne Shirley says, tomorrow's a new day with no mistakes in it, right? Maybe still living from the consequences of the previous day, but new day with no mistakes in it. I also really love this story, and this is at the very end of the Ina Gardner book, and I'm going to read it to you because it's no surprise, because the name of her book is Be Ready When the Luck Happens. And she says she was stunned when she did her 60-minute interview. They had a view of her life completely different from the story that she had told herself and others. She said, I always thought that I did what I loved and just got lucky along the way. In fact, when I was given a Matrix Award for Women in Media, that's exactly what I said. Addressing my fellow honorees, amazing women like Tina Fey and Sheryl Crow and the audience, I spoke about how lucky I was at each phase of my career because it seemed that whatever I was most interested in doing was exactly what the world wanted at that time. I was lucky that I was interested in food and cookbooks at a time when the world was interested in food and cookbooks. I was lucky that Food Network was looking for home cooks when they found me, and lucky they refused to take no for an answer. Lucky. I finished and took my seat on the stage right next to Oprah. Immediately she turned and smacked me on the arm saying, "You weren't lucky. You make your own luck." Did Oprah just smack me in front of 1,000 people? Actually, I have been lucky, I started to say, and then she smacked me again. When Leslie Stahl got up to introduce the next person, she said, "Why do successful women always say they're lucky and successful men say they got there by the force of their talent?" Wait, did Leslie Stahl just smack me too? I kept thinking, am I crazy? Haven't I been lucky? How much does luck really count in success? Soon after the 60-minute filming, I had dinner with my friends, Rob Marshall and John DeLuca, and Rob shared a story about that answered that very question. When he was all of 23 and the dance captain of The Rink, the Tony Award-winning Broadway show starring Liza Minnelli, she told him something that stayed with him his entire life, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Be ready when the luck happens." It turned out 60 Minutes was right about me, and I had never realized it. My story was about hard work and luck. I never had a 5-year plan where I taught myself how to cook, bought the store, got up in the middle of the night to make 1,000 baguettes, tested recipes for 13 cookbooks, or agreed reluctantly to do a television show. I concentrated on what's in front of me and work hard because I love what I do and I have fun doing it. I think
Have you been dreaming of earning a master's degree or a design certificate that could lead you to launch your very own business? The University of Arts and Design has unique programs where you not only learn how to design, but how not to be a starving artist, which is why I created it. Join us in our upcoming Design Your Future event. Visit uad.education/designyourfuture to learn more about our students, discover the courses that we offer, and find out more about how you can become part of something truly unique in the university experience.
I think this is pretty amazing. She says, and she ends it with, "And then I leave the door open so I'll be ready when the luck happens." I think that her view is everything that I've been telling you guys. That so much of what you're doing is your hard work coupled with the ability to see the opportunities around you. If you're not doing the hard work every day of building your design career, it doesn't mean that you're going to have the exact design career I'm going to have. It doesn't mean that you will for sure have this amazing, crazy shop in one of the shops out there and making $10,000 a month. Your course may veer, right? This is like the episode I did with you guys where I talked about the dark horse study. This is exactly like that, okay? That what happens is that those that don't necessarily have a 5-year plan. Most of us want to have a 5-year plan, but it never goes like that. Instead, our path is veering as we kind of pivot to make it work so that we make the financial choices that make sense, but also we find the fulfillment and do the correct things in our careers that make us happy. And that really happens from veering and pivoting as we move along to find the thing and the opportunities that are exactly right for us. Your opportunities are going to be different from mine. That's one of the most beautiful things about this, because you bring the most amazing experiences to the table. The number of women who have had these phenomenal careers in something other than design, and then they come into the design world, and then they're able to rock it in the world because they come with all this interesting experience, is really, in my opinion, no coincidence. It's a way to fulfill and bring fulfillment into your life because you've gone out of your way to like mesh it up with the experience you already have had. This is so incredibly awesome. So incredibly awesome. And I really want that for you. I want something like that for you. And I want you to know you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be in this point in time. One of the things that struck me in her book is she was not super duper young when she did all of these things. The things she did when she was younger was a buildup to some of the things that you see today. And I've seen this with lots of great entrepreneurs. Some of my favorite entrepreneurs didn't start their businesses until they were 55, some of them 60. And that's an okay thing. And I think that we think that we've been left behind, or we go, oh, I wish I'd started 10 years ago, when the truth is we're doing it now. Those of you who are in the programs, you're pushing forward, you're getting the education you need, you're doing it now. So keep on doing it, keep going. And those of you who aren't, keep finding that education so you can move forward and you can get everything you need so that you can build the life you really want, so you can build the career you really want. All right, I'm going to challenge you to really take a deep look at what you want and kind of see if there's some hidden secret things that you'd forgotten about, like me, or of things that you want in your life. And if you have a chance to grab this book, I told you I just read it in 4 hours. I am an extremely fast reader. However, I do think it could easily be read in 4 to 6 hours. It's called Be Ready When the Luck Happens. It's a memoir by Anna Gardner. And it was delightful. It was very, very fun. It definitely felt like her because she kind of is a soft-spoken, very sweet spoken lady. And I thought it was a very nice tribute to her life that she wrote for herself. I loved hearing how hard it was. I loved hearing all the things that went wrong, or the fact that she struggled to make payroll one time, that they were always coming up with ways in order to make things work. And it was rough. It was really rough. I think it's good to see that, especially for those of us who are building businesses, because I think when we see how rough it is and how people are able to get over those rough patches, we recognize that can happen to us. In fact, I think it happens to us more than we realize. Things are rough, we figure out a way to make it work. Things get rough again, we figure out a way to make it work again. This is just life. And so I hope that you're figuring out how to make it work again, always. And we're coming up on a brand new year. And I'm very, very excited about that because it's a brand new year with no mistakes in it. And yes, I know Anne Shirley didn't say the year, but I'm sure she was thinking it. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.
Hi, Julie.
Hey, Shara.
I'm glad you're back. I know you've been on
Yes.
vacation and
Yes, it's good to be back.
yeah, I'm glad that you're back. So we are doing a Design Your Life podcast style podcast, but Carina's going to put it on the Make and Design podcast so everybody can kind of get an idea of what happens on this podcast.
Woohoo. Yes.
Yeah. So Julie and I, or Asia and Julie, or Julie and whomever, or me or whomever, we always
Somebody.
have a commentary after the podcast. So it's really fun. It's such a fun thing.
It is. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too. So this is a bonus episode, and It is really interesting that she was talking about her bad day because I was there for part of it. So,
That's right.
yeah, she was having a bad day.
Oh, so not good. Yeah,
Yeah. And it happens to the best of us, right?
it does. And you know, you don't it's sad to say you don't want other people to have bad days and you don't want to be like misery loves company, but it's nice to know that everybody's human, everybody has it, and how do we work through it? How
Yeah,
do we get better, you know? But
right. Well, I hated it that she was going through all of that. But it's like I was just thinking about when she was talking about it on the podcast, I was thinking about, yeah, I've had those like
mhm,
really bad days
yes.
where nothing was going right, just one thing after the other. And it's kind of like, I admired the fact that she went to work out to kind of burn off that
Yeah.
just
That
anger
for 3 hours on
for
the treadmill.
3 hours. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
smart. I like to go to the gym too,
Hmm.
and just kind of like it relaxes me.
Yeah.
So that's a really good idea to try to burn off your anger that way
Yeah.
instead of
It
blowing
was
up at your family and that stuff.
yeah, that's actually very helpful to deal with stress like that. I
Yeah.
was just, in fact, it was funny. I was listening, just, how you kind of scroll through, sometimes things pop up on Instagram,
Hmm.
and I wasn't really on there very long, but I just happened to see a commentary from an Olympic athlete who was preparing for the Olympics, and she was having a bad day, her things weren't going well or her times or whatever wasn't going well, and her coach said it's okay, it's the rule of thirds. And she was talking about that. I'm like, did you ever hear that one before? Anyway, and I was like, what's that? And so she was talking about that everyone has, it's like the rule of thirds. So a third of the time everything's great, things are going good, you're happy, you're on your game. Third of the time it's okay. And
Hmm.
a third of the time it's just plain crappy. And it's just like, so if you're having one of those, well, you're in the third. Hopefully your crappy days are not getting half or whatever, they're staying in that third zone.
Right.
But just recognizing we all have that really just sometimes bad crappy days that
Yeah.
it's just rough. And I think, like what you said, trying to deal with it in a more of a positive, get through it, where instead of just dwelling on it. And she went and worked out, she went and read a book, so that was, I think this episode was something that I really needed to hear today too. It was really good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true though that she was talking about that we always, even though we go through these really hard times, we always do find a way to get through it. And I can definitely say that for myself. I mean, I can look back in some really, really bad times in my life and I'm still here. I got through it,
Yep. Yep.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. So it's encouraging to know it's kind of as it's a human condition, we can kind of work our way out of problems.
Yeah, definitely. I liked how she talked about dream planning. It
Oh
gives
yeah.
us that spark of hope. Like, go back to the basics, go back to what Karina's been telling us, do our planning, do our, focusing on the end goal and not the awful right now sometimes, to help
Hmm.
us get through that.
Right. Yeah. And then also, recognizing when you're in those bad times that you are still making progress.
You are. Yeah, that's good. Yep.
You're not, just because you're going through a bad time doesn't mean that all of your progress is stopped. In fact, I can
Hmm.
remember I was listening to Brene Brown, which I really enjoy her.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was saying that no growth ever comes out of being comfortable.
Yeah.
The only time growth ever comes is when you're not comfortable. You're not in a comfortable place. Then
Isn't
you're
that true?
growing.
Yeah. It's
And
so true.
so, yeah, so that I think that definitely applies here. Um, something else she was talking about. She was talking about Be Ready for When the Luck Comes, which is a book by Ina Garten.
Mhm.
And it sounds like an interesting book. Always loved reading autobiographies.
Yes.
They're
And
always
I
really
was like,
good.
"Oh, I have to read," because I love, I love cooking and stuff like that too.
Hmm.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to check out that book. That sounds
Yeah.
really cool."
Yeah, I think I may just do the same. But she was talking about, some of the dreams that she'd had that she'd forgotten. And it made me start thinking about, what were the things that I really wanted to do when I was a young woman?
Mhm.
What things did I decide not to do in favor of something else?
Yeah.
And something that I really feel like I need to think about because, still those things, if I know there's one thing in particular that I really wanted to do as a young person, and I've never done. And I still remember that. And it's something
Uh-huh.
I want to do. And it gives me joy when I think about it.
That's awesome.
And I
That's
think,
really cool.
yeah, the other thing is that she said that really resonated with me is that you're still young.
Yes, I love that. Like, and because I do feel like I'm slowly getting older, and I'm like, but yeah, she accomplished a lot in her later years, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not,
Hmm.
sometimes we need that reminder. We're still young. We're not, and I like how Karina was saying, you're not behind. You're
Hmm.
right where you need to be. So I was like, okay, I'm not behind. I'm still working through some of these things. It's just taking me a little bit of time.
Yeah. I don't know why we as women, or just people in general, have such a tendency to compare ourselves to other people and where they are,
It's
because
true.
we're not on that path with them. It's
Hmm.
not a race.
Yeah, it's
We're
true.
on our own journey.
Yeah. That is so
So
good. Good
I
reminder.
I needed to hear because of my age, and I'm not old, okay?
That's right.
I
You're
am
not.
middle-aged. I still have probably a good 40 years left in me.
Yep.
If I live to be an old woman, which I plan on doing, that's my plan. I know I really don't have any um control over that other than taking care of myself and not walking in front of cars on the
Yes.
interstate. But I do feel like, I'm going to live a long time. That's my plan.
That's right. And we're gonna live a good long time, like a good life of a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's sometimes I have to be reminded, look, only like a little over half of your life is done. And look at what you've accomplished in that half. What makes you think you're not going to accomplish a lot in the next half?
Yes. So true. Good
Yeah.
reminders.
Yeah. Um, and it's exciting too that here we are in November. So we're getting ready to go through the holidays. Um, I'm not sure when this podcast comes out. I don't know if it's going to be before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving, but we've got planning for Thanksgiving, and it's just like the whirlwind of the holidays. It's just right upon us. Cooking and buying gifts and wrapping and parties and having dinners and all that good stuff. And that's so exciting. But what's really exciting after that is knowing that is you've got a whole year coming up that's
Yeah.
blank slate.
Mm-hmm. That you can start and just, like I like how she was saying a whole, each day is a fresh start with no mistakes in it with Anne Shirley. This new year is going to be a whole new year with a fresh start, and we can really capitalize on that and
Yeah.
dream big.
You know what? You know what I really love? And this is kind of weird. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I love the holidays, of course. Who doesn't love
Uh-huh.
them? But I'm so tired by the end of it. And I really look forward to January because there's nothing going on.
Yes. I do too. Yes. And
Yeah.
just having kind of a little bit of a break where you can just, all the things or the to-dos are,
Mhm.
checked off. You had fun with your family and, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I used to have an aunt. I loved her. She's gone now, but her birthday was in January. And she would say, "Oh, I've got the worst birthday month of the year because it's so boring. Nothing's going on." I'm like, "You got the best birthday month." You
I
know?
know. That's mine. I'm a January baby too. Like, and this year actually I do have some fun. Like, we're planning a cruise for my birthday because it's the big D. So my husband is sweet. But yeah, but I've always liked the idea of a fresh start, the New Year's resolutions, the New Year's
Mhm.
goals. But I think it's good to start now. Like, she's talking about our dream planning and building that spark of hope. Like, be thinking now, what am I going to do? Don't wait for January 1st or whatever, but what am I going to do? What am I going to accomplish? How
Mhm.
am I going to make, and there are going to be, and recognizing there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be those just bad days, but that, we're going to figure out how to get through it. We're going to keep going. We're going to
Yeah.
keep moving.
Well, I'm excited for next year because next year is my 60th year on this planet.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
So,
we're a decade apart, me and you.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
I'm going in my 50s.
Well, I'm excited about having my 60th year because you know what I'm going to do? January 1st through December 31st, I'm having a birthday party of the whole year of 2025. It's going to
There
be
you go.
you and
You go,
me.
girl.
So, that's my plan. So just
You're gonna
because
make it the
I'm
best.
turning 60 does not mean I'm dead,
That's right. Good
right?
reminders. You make
Yeah,
it awesome.
exactly. So I think that this was a really good thing for me to hear today, especially the age part.
hmm Yeah. Like I said, I needed it too today. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Well, good. I'm glad that it was I loved having Asia on our last podcast. It was so fun. And I enjoy having you on our podcast and I like to kind of mix it up.
yeah, it's fun.
But it's been good talking to you. It seems like it's
Yeah.
been a minute.
You too, Shar, as always.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope that everybody enjoys this little bonus episode that Karina is putting out there.
hmm
And you can kind of get an idea of what we do when we
Yeah. And if
podcast.
you're not already subscribed to the Design Your Life podcast, it's awesome. Super good stuff in there. So
It is
head
awesome.
over there too.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for us today. And I'll talk to
Yeah.
you later.
Take care. Bye,
Bye.
Shar.
Did you know you have access to more free design content, die cut files, and sewing patterns? Join our exclusive VIP group for free by going to designsweetcourses.com/free.